Good Tavach. I hope that all of you had a beautiful Shabbos and looking forward to a beautiful week. So we're going to be learning tonight Daf Kuf Yud Beis and Mid Beis, and as well Emir Hashem Daf Kuf Yud Gimel. There are a lot of beautiful drushes today that we're going to see, some of which are very well known. But before we get there, we have to navigate some halachic pieces and a continuation of the Gemara that we learned the other day. Yesterday, on Thursday night, actually, we learned the Gemara about the Shita of Rabbi Yochanan, that we said that Rabbi Yochanan held like the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda in regards to shoes. What was the Shita of Rabbi Yehuda in regards to shoes? That if the inside of the shoe breaks, if the inside flap of the shoe breaks, the shoe is still a shoe. But if the outside flap of the shoe breaks, then the shoe is not a shoe. We'll be starting tonight on the top of Kuf Yud Beis and Mid Beis, picking up right here, Umi Amar, second line. Umi Amar Rabbi Yochanan Hachi. Does he really hold that way? Does he hold like Rabbi Yehuda? Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan said two things. First of all, he said halacha kistam mishnah. Halacha is like a mishnah that's anonymous. And the second thing that he said, and this really is what established the question, is a mishnah that says as follows. Bitnan, the mishnah writes, Sandal shenifseka achas me'ozna v'tikna tameh medras, that if one of the laces tears off, then it's tameh tumas medrash. My lav loshna pnimis v'loshna chitzona. If we see from this mishnah that there's no distinction between pnimis and chitzona, between the inner and outer, then it cannot be that he holds like Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Yehuda did distinguish. Yes, he distinguished between the inside flap of the shoe and the outside. Rabbi Yehuda said on Thursday night, as we learned, that if it's the inside flap of the shoe, so the din is that the shoe is still a shoe. But if it's the outside flap, that it's not a shoe. So this mishnah, which is a stam mishnah, we hold like a stam mishnah, and the stam mishnah doesn't make the distinction. So therefore, how can you say that Rabbi Yochanan holds like Rabbi Yehuda? That doesn't make any sense. Answers the Gemara, lo, pnimis dafka, aval chitzona mai tahor. The Gemara answers with the distinction that we would have anticipated had it been authored even by Rabbi Yehuda. But the Gemara is still very bothered by that. Ihachi, if that's true, then adatani, then we learn later, nifsaka shnia, betikna, tahor min medras. If the second one broke, that it's going to be tahor. Aval tame maga, about Tamei Maga medras, but there will still be some Tumas Maga if the second of the laces breaks. But if that's the case, says the Gemara, Niflog, and then we should be adding in the word Niflog v'nisne bidida. If what you're saying is true, that we need to make the distinction like Rabbi Yehuda between the inner flap of the shoe and the outer flap of the shoe, and that's really what Rabbi Yochanan holds, we should have seen the distinction in writing. You're making a very sharp and difficult ukimta in our Gemara to assume that this stam mishnah, which makes no distinction between the inner flap and the outer flap, it makes no distinction at all. So all of a sudden, out of the blue, you just come up and make this distinction. The Gemara doesn't like that at all. It should have said, but it doesn't say that. So if that's the case, then we're back to square one, which is that we still have Rabbi Yochanan's statement initially from Thursday that he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Tonight we're asking the question, how can that be? Hooray! He holds stam mishnah, that halacha is stam mishnah, and we have a stam mishnah that's not like Rabbi Yehuda. So we're back to answer number two. 1/3 of the way down, a little bit less than that, on Kuf Yud Beis, Amud Beis, Amar Rav Yitzchak, first word on the line is Pnimis, Amar Rav Yitzchak ben Yosef, Tehei Mishnah Seinu B'Sandal Sheyesh Lo Arba Oznaim Ve'Arba Tarsiosayim. We're dealing with a shoe that has 4 flaps, 2 on each side of the shoe. Why do we create such a difficult ukimta, such a rare ukimta? Says the Gemara, a very powerful idea. Shelo lishbor devarav shel Rav Yochanan. We don't want to break the shita of Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan was of the opinion that we hold like Rabbi Yehuda. But the only way that we could say that Rabbi Yochanan Taka holds like Rabbi Yehuda is by explaining the Stam Mishnah, which makes no distinction between the Pnimis and the Chitzona, between the inner flap of the shoe and the outer flap of the shoe. The only way we could make that Stam Mishnah to be like the shita of Rabbi Yehuda, thereby validating and verifying the shita of Rabbi Yochanan, is by saying that it's a different kind of shoe where it never became tamei in the first place. So we don't need the distinctions of pnimis and chitzona because the shoe never lost its status. And in such a case, yes, even Rabbi Yehuda would agree. So that's what the Gemara says. The reason why this idea is very powerful is because you have to think about how far they've gone to support the sheet of Rabbi Yochanan. Now, I'm not making light of Rabbi Yochanan. What I am saying is that we had to explain a Mishnah written way before Rabbi Yochanan in a way that may not have been intuitive. It may not have been the first line of thinking. But the Gemara went out of its way to ensure that the Shita of Rav Yochanan was upheld because he's probably right. That's the assumption of it. It wasn't out of like emotional sensitivity. It was out of intellectual sensitivity that if Rav Yochanan is saying something, it must be we who are misunderstanding. We therefore have to reinterpret the Mishnah that was stam to fit within the world of Rabbi Yehuda. Says the Gemara, Ki asa Rabin Amar Rav Chana bar Abba Amar Rav halacha Rabbi Yehuda, Rav Yochanan Amar ein halacha Rabbi Yehuda. So we have a statement from Rabin. Rabin traveled from Eretz Yisrael, I believe, and there it says in the name of Rav Yochanan ein halacha Rabbi Yochanan. So how? That for sure. And we started out by saying the halacha is like that Rav Yochanan holds like Rabbi Yehuda. And then we came up with this very difficult explanation of the Mishnah in order to support the Shita of Rabbi Yochanan that he holds like Rabbi Yehuda. Yet there was another Talmud of Rabbi Yehuda who held that he didn't, another Talmud of Rabbi Yochanan who said that my Rebbe, Rabbi Yochanan, doesn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda. Ein halacha Rabbi Yehuda. So what do we do about that? Says the Gemara, Mi Amar Rav Yochanan Hachi. V'hami detaritz Rav Yochanan alibad Rabbi Yehuda shma mina Rabbi Yehuda svirle. We learned on Thursday a sophisticated Gemara that explained why it is that we know that Rav Yochanan holds like Rabbi Yehuda. We're not going to rehash it now, but the Gemara there was very clear that in Rav Yochanan's comment on that source that we learned a couple of days ago, that the only way that it made sense was aliba to Rabbi Yehuda. So how could you say that Rav Yochanan doesn't hold like Rabbi Yehuda? Answers the Gemara, a well-known construct of an answer, one that we will see frequently throughout Shas as we navigate together. Amorai ninhu ve'aliba de Rabbi Yochanan. There was a machlokes amoraim of the Talmidim of Rabbi Yochanan. One of them thought that Rebbe said that the din is like Rabbi Yehuda, and one of them thought that the Rebbe said that the din is not like Rabbi Yehuda. Just a machlokes amoraim. The Gemara now shifts gears. We're about halfway down on Kuf Yud Beis and the Beis. Tanan Hasam, we have a Mishnah that writes elsewhere, Kol Kli Ba'alei Batim, Shi'uran Kirimonim. If you have a regular Kli, the shear at which we would then say the shear is no longer kasher is when that Kli that has a pomegranate in it, that the pomegranate will fall through a hole in the Kli. Pretty significant. Let's call it 4 inches in diameter. It's not an insignificant size. That's when a Kli becomes tahor, when it's no longer makabel tuma. So says the Gemara, a question by Chizkiah. Chizkiah asked the following question on this case. Nikev kimotzi zayis v'sasmo. Let's say that there was only a small hole, not one that's large enough to passel the vessel, to make it so that it's not makabel tuma, just the size of an olive, and you closed it up. But then again, v'chazer v'nikev kimotzi zayis v'sasmo, and it repeatedly broke over and over again in different spots. Ad until shehishlimo lemotzi rimon, such that let's say it broke 10 times. And over the course of those 10 times, the hole that would have been, had you not fixed it, a theoretical hole, because it is filled in. But had it been that you had not filled them in, then the hole would have been the size larger than a pomegranate. Says the Gemara, Mahu, what's the din? Omar le Rav Yochanan. Rav Yochanan says back to Chizkiah, Rabbi Shanislanu, you taught us a separate din. What's the din that you taught us? The din that you taught us is as follows. Sandal shenifsika achas me'oz novatikno tame medras. If you have a sandal and one of the flaps of the shoe is broken and it gets fixed, the din is that it's still tamei medras, meaning it's not yet reduced from being a kli. We still consider it to be like a kli. Nifsaka shniya betikna tahor min hamedras. But if in fact the second flap broke, so then Rabbi Yochanan says, quoting his Rabbi Chizkiah, then if the second one broke, then and you fixed it, well, then we would say it's tahor min hamedras. Aval tamei maga medras. It would be tahor in some ways, but it still have tumas maga. Ve'amrinan lach, we said to you, Rabbi Yochanan's reminding Chizkiah about this conversation. Ve'amrinan lach, we said to you, Ma'ishna rishona tehakaima shniya, shniya nami metakna rishona. What is the difference when the first one breaks and we fix it and we say that it's still tamei, it's still subject to tuma? Mashein came, but the second time it breaks and you fix it, we say it's not. What's the difference? So answers the Gemara. Rabbi Yochanan says, Rebbe, Chizkiah, you told us what the answer was. You said, the Amrislan, you said to us, the Amrislan aleh, about that case, where when the reason why we distinguish between when the first flap breaks and it fixed that it's still subject to tuma, whereas when the second flap breaks and you fix it, it's not subject to tuma. But Amrislan, you said to us the reason why there's a distinction. Panim chadashos bo lekan. It's no longer the same thing. So says the Gemara, Rabbi Yochanan makes a tushtel. He jumps from this case of sandal back to our original question. Remember what we said. There are a bunch of small olive-sized holes in the clay. You filled up each one of them when they happen. But if you were to look at them in a cumulative fashion, you'd see that the whole is larger than that of a rimon. So what's the din? So says the Gemara, hachanami, with the little gimel above it, that's where we are, 2/3 of the way down. Hachanami panim chadashos ba'olakan. There should be something different here. It should no longer be considered a kli. So that's what Rav Yochanan said to his Rabbi. And his Rabbi responded with warmth. Karile, and he said about Rav Yochanan, Leis Dain Bar Inish. This is not a human being. This is a Malach Hashem Tzavakos. His Torah is unbelievable. Ikadamre, some say the line was a little bit different. Kegon Dain Bar Inish. This person is remarkable. So either he was not human in that he was amazing, or this person is remarkable. Both warm compliments about. We're not exactly sure what the aspect is. Is it the Having davar lesoch davar, like which aspect of Rabbi Yochanan was that he had the courage to push back against his Rebbe? A lot to be learned from here, but that was what the Gemara concluded here. Amar Rav Zera says, Amar Rava bar Zimuna, im rishonim b'nei malachim. This is going to be depressing for us. If this is Rav Zera was he lived right around the time of Rava, who was a 4th century Amora. And he was Bar Zimuna. Im Rishonim B'nei Malachim, if the earlier ones, if they were considered B'nei Malachim, if they were considered the children of angels, namely Rav Yochanan, so then Anu B'nei Anashim, then we're just the regular folk. We're not the big Talmidei Chachamim. The Im Rishonim B'nei Anashim, and if the earlier generations were mamish, regular people, Anu kechamorim, we are donkeys, and don't get too excited. Below kechamoro, shall Rabbi Chanina ben Dosav, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yar, not like the donkeys that are the remarkable ones that we see in the Gemara, that we see elsewhere in Midrashim. Ela keshe'ar chamorim, we're stam a donkey, and if that's what they said about themselves, Yerida Satoros has probably not treated us very well. We are at the 2 dots, 8 lines from the bottom of the page on Kuf Yud Beis Mud Beis. Let's continue. We said in our Mishnah V'nodos Yain V'Shemen that one is allowed. Remember that the Mishnah listed a number of things that are permissible to tie with kosher, that one is allowed to tie a whole bunch of things. And one of them is that they were allowed to tie a leather bag of some kind that would hold shemen or yain. That's how they stored things. It wasn't in a bottle like we have. But no, those yain with shemen you're allowed to tie. It says Gemara Pshita, obviously you're allowed to tie the bag. It doesn't have to spill out everywhere. That's ridiculous. So it says Gemara, Lo tzricha di ispe tarte one. No, you might have thought that if it had 2 different enclosures, 2 different sets of straps to close things, you might have thought, you might have thought that if you had 2, you don't need both, and therefore you can't tie both, and one would be usher, one would be mutter, kamash malan. We don't say that. The fact that you can put 4, 6, 8, 10, you can put as many strings as you want. If you're using them in a normal fashion in order to close off the wine, then it is perfectly permissible to do that, and one should not assume that because there are multiple straps that it is therefore the case that it would be usher, kamash malan, that the extra straps do not alarm us. Kedera shel basar, we said also in that Mishnah, among a list of things for which kosher is permissible, where we can tie things, that you're allowed to tie on a lid. Again, pshita, what are you supposed to do? Let the chicken soup splatter everywhere? You're allowed to tie down the cover. I don't understand what the problem is. Lo tzricha d'isle shalacha. It says the Gemara, no, there's a spout that on the side of the pot. And if you were to have a cover on the pot, the spout is made in such a way where even with the cover on, you could pour it out. So that was the Gemara's question here. I might have thought that maybe you'll never untie the lid from the pot, because I can always pour from the in and out of the spout. And if I can pour in and out of the spout, then maybe I would have assumed that you never need to take off the top. And maybe we would have said that the kosher there is not permissible. Kamash malan, that we don't assume that that's the case. Even when there's a spout on the pot, we're not concerned that you're going to keep the lid on forever. We do assume that you'll take it off. Of course, we know in practical terms that it is not a simple way for us to cook. We do like to take the top off, of course, to rinse it out and to clean it out and to add ingredients to the chule. Whatever the svara is, the Gemara says is permissible. The last din of our Mishnah that we learned was that Rabbi Eliezer taught us the din. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer kosher, that you are allowed to tie some type of ropes to prevent an animal from leaving the yard. Says Gemara Pshita, obviously. Lo tzricha di islay tarte isre. No, the reason why is because there might have been two different straps. Mahu de tema, turning to the top of Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, I might have thought Havamina Chadamina Betulim Mevatel. Similar line of reasoning as we've seen many times, 3 times tonight, and also earlier. We saw this by a woman's garment as well, an outer garment that a woman might wear that has multiple ties on it. We don't care, even if there are multiple of them. Havamina, that there would be betulim mevatel, that it's not okay, that the extra one you should be chayav on a kamash malan. Amar Rav Yosef, closing out this section of our Gemara. Amar Rav Yosef, Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Rav Yosef said in the name of Rav Yehuda, in the name of Shmuel. What did they say? Halacha Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. We follow like the din in the end of our Mishnah. Now, if you look in our Mishnah, you'll see that this din goes uncontended. So why is it that he was teaching us this din? Asks Abaye, and we saw this exact frame a little bit earlier. Amar le Abaye, halacha. When you say that the halacha is like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, michlal de pliki, it implies that you're avoiding saying that we paskin like somebody else. Who's the somebody else? Nobody in our Mishnah argued. So what's the problem? Amar le my nafka lachmina. Well, what do you care? We just paskin like Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov. So Abaye has this sharp line as we learned before. Amar le Abaye said back to Rav Yosef, Gemara gemor zemorta tehei. Our Masorah is not some type of limerick that you just get to write and add things. No. What's part of our Masorah is rigid and defined. We don't just throw things into our Masorah for kicks. And you're just adding in that we pass. No, don't give me more to learn. There's plenty of Torah to learn. You're not doing what's right, Rav Yosef. We don't add to the Masorah. If it's in the Masorah, it belongs there. I'm not saying make it shorter. I'm just saying that you can't add things. It's not a song. You don't just get to add a paragraph when you want. So if there's a bar plugta, if there's someone who's going to argue with Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, fine. It's worth having a conversation. But you haven't told me anything yet. And that's how our Mishnah is capped off. We're going to learn now another Mishnah that speaks about kosher, and then we'll see yet another Mishnah on the bottom of the page, which switches gears in regards to hachana, folding clothes on Shabbos, folding talesim on Shabbos, which we will speak about shortly. Says the Gemara, the Mishnah, 6 lines down on the top of Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, writes the Mishnah, kosher and deli bipsakya, avalo bechevel. Let's say that you need to draw up water from a well. So kosher, we tie deli, a bucket, bipsakya, with a garment. This garment is a girdle. It's a clothing of a woman that you're able to tie the bucket to the girdle on one side, and then on the other side of the garment, you can tie it to let's say a rope, whatever it is, to make sure that the bucket can draw up water for you on Shabbos. That's permissible if you use a garment. It's not specifically a psakya. It's not specifically that garment. It's basically any garment that you know that you'll need. Because what's the concern about kosher? The concern about kosher is a kesher shel kayama. And because this is not going to be permanent, because this woman's going to want her clothing back, so we know that it's only going to be temporary knots, and therefore we're not concerned. So the Tanakama allowed for psakya, for a garment. Aval lo bechevel, but you can't just tie the rope straight to the deli, straight to the pail, because that you may leave forever. That's a kesher shel kayama. That's mamish nisur daraisa, not allowed. Rabbi Yehuda matir. Rabbi Yehuda says it's allowed. Wild. Why would Rabbi Yehuda allow for such a thing? Well, that's going to be the Gemara's question right out of the gates. Klal Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda taught us a rule called Kesher She'einu Shel Kayama Ein Chayavan Alav. It's seemingly the way to understand this line is that any non-permanent knot is not going to be a problem. So if your intention is not to tie a Kesher Shel Kayama, then you don't need a special garment to separate between the chevel and between the zeli, between the rope and the pail. You don't need that at all. It's totally mutter, as long as your intention is not a kesher shel kayam, but it's mutter. So says the Gemara, really? Chevel demai. When Rabbi Yehuda is matir to tie a chevel, to tie a rope directly to the pail, what's the metzias there? If it's stam, a regular rope, like the normal rope you might have used to hold a pail in a well, so then that doesn't work. Rabbi Yehuda matir kesher shel kayamahu. That's of course not the case. Why would you even bother replacing it after Shabbos? You tied the perfect knot and you tied it on the perfect pail in the perfect well. That's perfect. That's how you get the chiyuv deraisa of kosher. So that can't be what's going on here. Ella answers the Gemara. Chevel de gardi. It's a different kind of rope. It's not the regular rope that you would have used. It's the rope of a weaver. And that rope will be reclaimed by the weaver after Shabbos. So therefore, says Rabbi Yehuda, I'm not concerned about the kesher shel kayama component when the rope is the type of rope that you're going to reclaim after Shabbos to bring back to its initial purpose of whatever it was. Let's say that you have a rope that's made out of a very expensive material. That's what we're talking about here. That's a perfect thing to do under the circumstances. You can tie one end to the existing rope. You can tie one end to the pail, and you're good to go, says Rabbi Yehuda. So then the Gemara makes a diuk, 7, 8, 9, probably 10 lines down, Lememra, that implies from here, Rabbanan, that the Rabbanan didn't recommend using this chevel. What did the Rabbanan say to use? To use a psakia, to use a garment that you know you're going to reclaim. Why didn't they say the gardi? Why didn't they say the rope of the weaver? Says the Gemara, Lememra, what implies from here is the Rabbanan sabre gazrinan chevel de gardi atu chevel de alma. It seems from the Tanakama, who allows for a garment that clearly won't stay there forever, but he doesn't allow a rope that you would reclaim because its purpose is not here but elsewhere. So it seems from Rabbi Yehuda that he doesn't allow that because he's concerned that one rope to another, it's too easy to make the mistake. So if I allow the weaver's rope, so then maybe someone who's less educated, a shtickle am haaretz, he's the chamor of the previous Gemara. He's just not such a Talmud Chacham. So maybe he'll just use the wrong rope and violate kosher. So seemingly the Rabbanan, that's why they didn't allow the chevel in the Mishnah. It says, Aval lo b'chevel. That's what our Mishnah said about tying a pail. They didn't want to allow a different kind of rope because if they allowed a different kind of rope, maybe one would use the right kind of rope and violate a kesher shel kaim, and they could violate kosher. And at the same time that's true, the Rabbi Yehuda savar lo gazrina. It seems to imply that Rabbi Yehuda does allow for the chevel gardi, namely there's no gzera of chevel gardi atu chevel ba'alma. We're not concerned about confusing the ropes. It's obvious, thinks Rabbi Yehuda, it's obvious that one needs to make sure not to violate the Isra of kosher. It says the Gemara, hold on one second. None of this works. None of this works. Uriminhu, we have a contradiction from a Mishnah elsewhere. This Mishnah is found in Maseches Psachim. Chevel dli she nifsak. You have a pail, and on Shabbos the rope tears. Lo yehe koshro ella onvo. You can't tie it at all. No knots. Ella onvo. You can tie a bow. That's not considered a knot according to the Tanakama. Within this Mishnah. Rabbi Yehuda Omer korech alav punda opsakya ubilvad shelo yanvenu. It seems like almost a role reversal. What does Rabbi Yehuda hold? Rabbi Yehuda says, what can you use? You can use a punda, which is some type of belt, or you can use a psakia, some type of garment that you know won't stay there forever because it's going to be reclaimed. Ubilvad shelo yanvenu, but you cannot tie a bow. This doesn't fit at all. Kasha de Rabbi Yehuda ad Rabbi Yehuda, first of the longest lines. Kasha de Rabbanan ad Rabbanan. None of the shitas match up. If you go line by line, look at the first line of our Mishnah. What did the Tanakhama say? The Tanakhama said that what can you do for a rope? You can use a psakia, but not a rope. And then here in this Mishnah, he says you can use a rope and make a bow. Then Rabbi Yehuda in our Mishnah says that you can even use a rope. And over here, he doesn't talk about using a rope at all. He says that you can use the psakia, which the Tanakhama said. So on both counts, none of these shitas work. Last two words of the first long line. Derabanan aderabanan lo kasha, chevel bechevel nichlaf. He is concerned about the ropes. That's for sure true. He still holds, like we initially said, that, like we initially inferred, that the Gemara, that the sheet of the Tanakhama is concerned that we might mix up ropes. However, says the Gemara, it says lo kasha chevel bechevel michlaf. You'll make a mistake there, but aniva b'kshira lo michlafa. But if you're making a regular bow with a rope, there the Tanakhama says no one's going to confuse that with kosher. No one. This is not the perfect knot. It's not a like a specialist Navy knot. This is simple. It's just a bow. It won't last forever, and therefore that's how we make the Rabbanon, the two sheets of the Tanakhama shtim. They fit very well now. Second of the widest lens, the Rabbi Yehuda also lo kasha hasam. Why is it over there that he is strict about the bow? Lo mishum de michlefa aniva b'kshira. It's not because he assumes that a bow is something that you could confuse with a knot. Ella, rather, he holds fundamentally differently about a bow. Ella aniva gufa kshirahi. There, Rabbi Yehuda holds the bow is never allowed. In other words, Rabbi Yehuda would sooner allow the chevel of a gardi. He would sooner allow the rope of a weaver, which in concept could be misconstrued as a regular rope, but he'd sooner allow that than tying a bow, because there, tying a bow is still tying a knot of some kind. And Rabbi Yehuda was of the opinion that the aniva, that the bow is still considered kosher, and that is how the Gemara makes everything fit. Switching gears slightly, Amar Rabbi Abba, fourth of the wider lines, Amar Rabbi Chia Barashi, Amar Rab, Maybe Adam Chevel Mitoch Beso, a person can bring a rope from his house, the kosher bepara uve'evos, and they can use this to tie a para and it's the bag that it feeds from. They asked the Gemara Kasha on this. Asive Ravacha Aricha, a name we've seen already. Who was Ravacha Aricha? Dehu Rabbi Acha Bar Papa le Rabbi Abba. So Rabbi Acha Bar Papa asks the following questions. Rabbi Abba, hold on 1 second. We have a source in the Tanaim that reads very differently than what you just read. You just told us that we could bring a rope from our house and tie up the para and its feeding bag. Absolutely not. Chevel shebe'evos, 1/3 of the way down. Chevel shebe'evos kosher bepara, v'shebepara koshro be'evos. You can tie the two together, the para and its feeding bag. Ubelvad shelo yavi chevel mitoch beso v'yikshor bepara be'evos. Specifically, if you don't take it from your house. So the first Mishnah that we just learned under as a question from Rabbi Abba Aricha, so he says that you can bring it from your house. Yet the Gemara says, no, you can't. We have another source in the Tanaim that says you're not allowed. The answer is the Gemara, last word on the line. Hasam chevel de alma, hacha chevel de gardi. It depends. It depends, says the Gemara. The chevel de gardi we can be more lenient with. And therefore, when you need to tie the para and the avos, the para and its feeding bag, if if the chevel you have in your house is a chevel of a gardi, a rope that you're going to reclaim because its purpose is not this and you need it for something else, totally fine. However, if what you're going to do is use a regular one, so then that's not allowed at all. And that's the distinction between these two sources in the Tanaim. The one that allows for the tying to take place, the one that allows for us to take a rope out of our houses is with a chevel gardi, which is not specific for this purpose. And the one that forbids it is a regular chevel. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, we're going to shift gears into a discussion about the various pieces of the loom of a weaving machine and whether or not one is allowed to move them on Shabbos. A little bit above halfway down, 8 lines down in the wider lines. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel. Kli kivoi, the parts of the weaving machine, mutter lataltal and b'Shabbos. In general, they're permissible to use on Shabbos. Good. Bo mineme Rabbi Yehuda, koved ha'elyon v'koved ha'tachton mahu. What about the high beam and the low beam? What about these two specific pieces of the loom? These might have been the pieces that would switch places in order to raise every other string so that you can put through the right to left movement of the string to make that weave look. So that's what the Gemara is dealing with now. That's the question. What about koved elyon v'koved tachton mahu? So when he tried to answer the question, he hemmed and hawed in v'la v'rafyu b'yad. He said yes. He said no. He wasn't sure. He didn't have it clear. Itmar. Then in the times of the Amoraim, this was all Amoraim actually, but another statement of the Amoraim. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Shmuel, Kol Kivoy Mutter L'Talton L'Shabbos Afilu Koved Elyon V'Koved Tachton Avalo Asamudim. So then we have a shita here from Rav Nachman that says yes, even the Koved Elyon and the Koved Tachton, those are permissible, no problem. But the amudim, the things that actually touch the ground that support the stands, the legs, as it were, of the loom, those cannot be moved. Amar Le Rav Nachman, Maishna amudim delo. What's the reason why you can't move the amudim? If your concern is the ka'avid gumos, if your concern is that when you pull them out of the ground, there's going to be a hole in the ground. That hole was already made before you. Gumos memela kahabion. You didn't make a hole. The hole was there. You revealed the hole by taking the leg out of the ground conceptually. Let's say you sit in a chair on Shabbos and the leg depresses it. You didn't even realize. The leg depresses into the grass. But you can't take it out of the ground. Mashve gumos. That's ridiculous. The hole's already there. The hole's there already. The leg is depressed into the ground 3 inches. You're not making a hole when you take the leg out. The hole's there already. The fact that it's filled with a chair leg is irrelevant. So why would you say here that you're not allowed to take out the amudim, the legs that support the weaving machine here? And here's the raya. How do we know that gumos are automatic? Because, and we saw this elsewhere. How long ago did we see this? What daf was that on? Le'el daf nun amud beis. So we saw it 62 blot ago. 63 blot ago, almost 62 and a half. Ma'ishna amudim. What? Sorry, next line. Ditznan. What does the Mishnah write? Hatomein lefes utzenonos tachas hagefen. They're already plucked from the ground. You just want to keep them in the ground. You want to keep them either cold or warm, whichever the temperature of the ground is. Tachas hagefen, under a vine. So the din is im mixas alin megulav Megulin, if the leaves of these foods that were pre-plucked and you're just putting them back in the ground to stay cold, if that's what you're doing and some of the leaves are revealed, Eino Choshesh, you're allowed to just pull them right out of the ground. Lo mishum kilayim, there's no problem of kilayim if they were mixed with the wrong type of vegetable. The lo mishum shvius, they're not chayiv in shvius at all. They've already been plucked. The lo mishum meiser, you don't have to give meiser again. And then most critically for our case, vin nitlen b'Shabbos. What do we see from here? They were pressed into the ground. So when the leaves of the radish are revealed, you're allowed to pull it out of the ground. Now you're going to make a hole in the ground. So what? That's exactly the point. We don't care. The hole's already there. If you pull the thing out of the ground and there's already a hole in the ground, then so what? So by our case too, then why would we not allow the carrying of the amudim of the loom? Why can't we carry the legs of the loom? No reason not to. Says the Gemara, a beautiful answer, a chakira that we've seen earlier in the Masechta a number of times. Bisadeh lo asila shvuyei gumos. I agree with you that there should be no distinction in which part of the loom we carry the amudim, be it the legs that support it or the kovet elyon, kovet tachton, the upper beam or the lower beam. Everything should be permissible in the field, in a sadeh, in a place that you don't live in. However, says the Gemara, a critical line. The Gemara says, "B'sadeh lo asila shvuyei gumos, hacha bebayis asila shvuyei gumos." But if it's your house, well, now you have a hole in your floor. So there we're concerned, halacha l'maisa, you're just going to step on some dirt, you'll kick some dirt in there and flatten it out. That's what we're concerned about. So then if we were poskim and we had the paskin right here, we'd say, is it permissible to carry the legs, to pull them out of the ground, the legs of a loom, if it's outdoors, and if it's not the kind of place that you're going to be tempted to kick some dirt in the hole into which the leg was depressed, so then that's perfectly fine. But in your house, we're too concerned that you're going to fill in the gaps. It's where you live. Adam bahul al mamono. No, and people are very careful about their money. They're careful about their house. Their house is their money. So we're afraid that you may end up filling in the gaps to be mashma gumos, and therefore it's problematic in your house. Ba minei Rav Yochanan Rabbi Yehuda bar Levoim. Kli kavoy kigon kovet ha'elyon or kovet ha'tachton ma letaltel and b'Shabbos. A similar framed question. What about these large beams? So says the Gemara, Amar le ein metaltalin. So he said a different answer. We learned that you can carry the kovet and kovet tachton, you carry these large beams. That was permissible. We learned the only question we had was by the amud and by the legs, and we answered that by saying permissible in the field, not permissible in the house. So you're asking the same question again, you're giving a different answer. Matam. What's the reason why you're giving a different answer? Says the Gemara, because they're too heavy. Because she'ain nitlin, you can't even pick them up. There's just physically, it's an exertion. So this leads to a concern that it should not be allowed. Take a look at Rashi. The last Rashi in the Mishnah to the right, 1 inch down. Rashi says, last Rashi, Dibur Amaschel if she'ain nitlin af bechol mipnei kovdan. They're so heavy. Hilkach kol melachton lekach. So therefore, you're not allowed to do it because then it's too much work. It's already beyond the pale. It should not be allowed on Shabbos. We're now going to switch gears and speak about folding clothes. Folding clothes, according to some Rishonim, might have actually been a concern of libun, of keeping things clean. In this case, we're going to be speaking about keeping wrinkles out of clothes to make sure that they're looking nice for your next usage. However, your next usage, that's only reasonable to fold it up on Shabbos if it's going to be for Shabbos. What if it's not going to be for Shabbos? So then it should be usher. So let's start this Mishnah right here, 2/3 of the way down. Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph. Mekaplin es hakelim. You're allowed to fold up your garments. Afilu arba v'chamisha pa'amim. You could take it off, fold it up, take it off, whatever you need to do. Fold it as many times as you want. Umatzian es hamitos milele Shabbos l'Shabbos. You can also make your bed at night if you plan on getting back into it on Shabbos day, which should be everybody's aspiration. But milele Shabbos l'Shabbos aval lo mi Shabbos l'motzei Shabbos. If you're going to wake up Shabbos morning and you don't plan on getting back in bed Shabbos afternoon, so then the din is that you should not do that. Lo mi Shabbos l'motzei Shabbos. That would be hachana. Hachana could be an isur d'oraisa. We don't do that. Rabbi Shmuel omer mekaplan es hakelim umatzian es hamitos miyom HaKippur and Shabbos. He takes this din and applies it a little differently. That when Yom Kippur bleeds into Shabbos, that one is allowed to do these preparations from Yom Kippur into Shabbos. The chelvei Shabbos craven b'Yom HaKippurin, and you can also bring in the chelvei Shabbos, these parts of the korbanos that had to be brought. They could be brought even on Yom Kippur when the days bleed into one another. Avalosha Yom Kippurim b'Shabbos, but the korbanos, the chalavim of Yom Kippur cannot be brought on Shabbos. Rabbi Akiva Omer lo shel Shabbos craven b'Yom HaKippurim, below shel Yom HaKippurim craven b'Shabbos. You cannot go either direction on the two of them. They're separate days. Okay, we're not going to focus on that so much today, but let's get started with the sugya of folding talesim. When is it permissible to fold clothes? Amre, opening the Gemara, 12 lines up from the bottom. Kufyud Gimel Amud Aleph. Amre the Beir of Yanai. Lo shanu. When are we allowed to do the folding? El ba'adam echad. When one person is doing the folding. Now, who would have thought? Let's say one of your kids says, "I want to fold your talis with you. Can I hold one end of it?" So this Gemara says you're not allowed to do that. Lo shanu ela ba'adam echad. Abba b'shnei b'nei adam lo. You're not allowed to do two people. The concern that some of the Rishonim here highlight is that when you do that, the people might put some tension on the garment, which will cause it to remove even more wrinkles, and therefore you're not allowed. What about our garments? Our garments are so much different than theirs. They're made super soft by and large. If you have a good quality talis, you stretching it doesn't even make a difference. So we would have to see if there's any nafkamina. We're going to go to the Shulchan Aruch tonight for just a moment to see this thing. But anyways, that's with the first qualification. It's only allowed with one person. Even when one person, we only allow it by chadashim, by new clothes, but we don't allow it by old clothes. So one person with new clothes. Even with new clothes, we have another limitation. Only if they're white. But if they're colored clothing, then we don't allow it. This is only true if you don't have another garment to wear. But you should not be doing it at all. That's not right. So let's see how this din plays out in the Shulchan Aruch. Please join with me. I'll just do a little screen share so you can see this din in the Shulchan Aruch. This din in Shulchan Aruch is found in Siman Shin Beis and Seif Gimel in Hilchos Shabbos. And here we are. Mekaplan Kelim Shabbos. You're allowed to fold things. Let's Tzorech Shabbos. Only if it's for Shabbos. The Lo Shambo Bayom, to wear them that day. B'dafka ba'adam, one person. See the key word here, echad. It's added in by we're not sure who it's added in by, probably not the Rama. Uvechadashim that are new clothes, shadayin lonis kapsu, an add-in from the Rishonim. This is not found in the Gemara, that it has never been laundered. Ulevan, it has to be white. Ve'ein lo lahachlif, all the parameters as we see. Ve'im chasra achas, me'lo atzmei mas, you're not allowed to do that. So if you take a look in the bottom here in the Mishnah Brura, you're right, the Tzorach Shabbos, just gonna get this picture out of the way for a second, there we go. Says the Gemara here, next one. Lelo shambo bayom, you're going to be wearing it the same day. So says the Mishnah Brura, v'lachein aser lekapel atalis. You're not allowed to fold your talis. Afal pisha mitzvah is called hayom. Even though theoretically speaking, the mitzvah applies all day long, b'yachol isatef bo mikol makom, kevan she'ein b'daito lisatef bo, because you have no intention of putting your talis back on, aser. Unless you are in a scenario where one would be using their talesim by mincha. Let's say you're the chazan for Rosh Hashanah mincha, so you can fold your talis on Rosh Hashanah morning, no problem at all. But if you're not the chazan for Rosh Hashanah mincha, then you can't fold your talis on Rosh Hashanah morning. You should be. So then the poskim are mechalek. Well, what if the creases aren't really creases and you're just kind of lightly folding it? So these are shilas in the postgame. These are shilas. Okay, let's continue in the Gemara. Where are we now? We're right now at the word Tana, about 8 lines from the bottom of the page. Tana, shel beis Rabban Gamliel lohaya mekaplan kli lavan shelahem ibnei shahaya lehen lahachlif. They would not fold their white garments because they had extra garments. A din we already saw. Amar Rav Huna, im yesh lo lahachlif yachlif, v'im ein lo lahachlif yishalshel b'begadav. If you have clothes to change into for the rest of Shabbos, you should. But if you don't have that, then yishalshel b'gadav, you should pull down on your garments so that they sit a little bit lower and look a little bit longer. The Rishonim here point out that this was more of a kavadik way to wear your clothes. It was considered at the time to be a little bit more mechubad, a little bit more regal. Asks the Gemara 5 lines from the bottom, Maski floor of Safra, you look like a balgaiva. You're a regular guy, but you're walking around with this chash of a garment. You're walking around with your clothes pulled lower in a way that looks more chashuv. So says the Gemara, Kaven to call Yoma lo ka'avid, v'ha'idnu de ka'avid lo mischaze keramasrucha. You can wear a bekasha, afal that it's out of character and whatever the case, but it's fine. You're allowed to do it. It's ramasrucha. People are going to say you're a bal gaiva. No, it's covered Shabbos as long as it just can't be done in a bal gaiva way. Fine. Now we're going to learn a lot of beautiful drashas, most of which are famous from the world of Shabbos. We are now 4 lines from the bottom of the page. What does that pasuk mean? Shabbos is not the weekday. We should be dressing properly throughout Shabbos to make sure that we're looking the part. V'chihad Rabbi Yochanan Kari lemane mechabdosai. He used to call his Shabbos clothes that which gives me honor, or that which I give honor, however you play the grammar. Me'asos terachecha. What is that part of the pasuk mean? Shelo yehi hilukach shel Shabbos ki hilukach shel chol. Even the way you walk on Shabbos has to be different. What does that mean? Is it the pace? Is it the gait? We'll see a little bit in the Gemara soon. I remember many times in Makor we would raise money. We do it all the time on Yontif. You're allowed to do Chefte Shamayim. You're allowed to raise money. You're allowed to fundraise on Shabbos. That's a Mefurish din right here in the Gemara, quoted in Shulchan Aruch. Totally appropriate to raise money on Shabbos, but you're not allowed to strike a business deal like Kiddush. That's totally us, or that's at least an Isser D'Rabbanan here, coupled in with possibly some Hachana pieces that could be problematic as well. So that's the din here. Turning to the top of the page, V'daber Davar, turning to the top of Daf Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis, our last Amud for the evening, and that is Shelo Yehei Diburcha Shel Shabbos Ki Diburcha Shel Chol. You should be talking differently as well. And as the Gemara Taich, Dibur Aser Hirhor Mutter. It's you're not allowed to speak about it, but you are allowed to conceptualize in your mind, kind of playing out some budgeting. That's not considered halachically problematic, but the dibur is what's aser. Says the Gemara, Bishnama kulhu lechai. I understand most of them except for one. Ela shelo yehi hilukach shel Shabbos ki hilukach shel chol. What is that talking about? You're not supposed to walk the same way. What does that even mean? It doesn't make any sense. How do you walk differently? Says the Gemara, Ki hada amar Rav Huna amar Rab, ve'amri la amar Rabbi Abba amar Rav Huna. Here is the din that whoever said this said. You see a puddle in front of you. Sometimes our sidewalks are like that. You see the water puddles over a couple of those squares on the concrete, and you want to try to step over it. So maybe you got some hops. You want to take a jump. You want to just kind of go and just kind of leap over. So says the Gemara, Im yachol lahaniach es raglo rishona kodem shete'aker shnia mutter. The way you can jump over this puddle is really not by jumping. And it says you should be placing your front foot on the ground on the far side of the puddle before you pick up your back foot on the back side of the puddle. The im lav asar, and if not, you're not supposed to jump on Shabbos. Maskiv la rava heichi labi. What are you supposed to do? You got to stay there all the Shabbos because there's a puddle on the ground. If you're supposed to go, let's say the puddle is 100 feet wide. What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to walk 100 feet longer and then round trip that's 200 feet longer. Lekif kamapish bihilucha. You're making the whole thing so much worse. It says the Gemara, Le'avar, you should cross over. Zimnin, Le'avar, you're gonna walk through the puddle. That doesn't work either. Zimnin, Dimitavsan Mane Maya. Your clothes are gonna get all wet. So you can't just walk through there with your clothes. Well, last night we were walking on. One of my kids walked through a huge puddle, unintentionally. But intentionally, if you know you're going to get your socks wet on Shabbos, you should not be walking through that puddle because there's a risk that you might end up doing schita. So we don't allow that either. So that doesn't work. So first of the longest lines of the page, if that's the case, so the halacha is, if there's no other way, really, if the puddle's small enough, we should not jump. That's really the way that it is. This is Talmud Mevi'eli De Maisa. These are dinim quoted in halacha. So if you can avoid the jumping over the puddle, then you should put the front foot on the ground and only then pick up your back foot to go over the puddle. You can jump it if you need to instead of walking around. That's fine. But all of this leaves us with the same question, which is, if we're now allowed to jump it when we need, so what is this new halacha about, this new type of hiluch, this new type of walking that the Gemara was referencing? So it says the Gemara, first of the longest lines in the middle of the line, Kuf Yud Gimel Amud Beis Zelakidaba Minei Rabbi May Rabbi Yishmael Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi was the Talmud of Rabbi Yishmael Rabbi Yossi. Ma'al Yifso Psia Gasa b'Shabbos. Am I allowed to take a big stride on Shabbos? So his Rebbe said back to him, I don't understand. Are you allowed to be a Baal Gaiva during the week and stand there with your head all cocked up in the air? You're such a Baal Gaiva, you're so chashuv. You're not allowed to walk like that ever. She'ani Omer, his Rebbe said, Rabbi Shmuel said, Psia Gasa, noteles echad mechamesh me'os mima'or einav shel adam. That when a person does Psia Gasa, so then they lose 1/500th of the brightness of their eyes. You can get it back. And you can get it back when you say Kiddush Beishamshe during Bein Hashmashos, namely, when you say Kiddush on Friday night, you can get it back. Rabbi mi Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Yossi, Ma'u lechol adama b'Shabbos. Am I allowed to eat dirt on Shabbos? So the first Shemir explained that there might have been some medical benefits to it. Amar le'bechi b'chol mihutra. Shani Omer, are you allowed to eat dirt during the week? If you eat it during the week, Shani Omer, af b'chol aser mipnei shuhu melake. It can cause you to get damaged. It can cause you to get injured. Amar Rabbi Ami, Kol ha'ochel me'afara shel Bavel, an ancillary din. Anybody who eats the dirt within Bavel, ki'ilu ochel mi b'sar avosav. It's as if you're eating the flesh of those greats who lived before you. When the epicenter of the Torah world was in Bavel, it's as if you're eating their own flesh. You should not be eating the dirt there, even for medical purposes. V'yesh omrim, ki'ilu ochel shkatzim or masim. And not only that, but it's even like you are eating dead animals, because as it's written there, Vayimach es kol hayikum. When it comes to the story of Noach, what ended up happening with all of the dead animals? Amar Reish Lakish, Lama Nikra Shema Shinar. Why is the city of Bavel referred to as Shinar? Shekol Meisei Mabul Nin Aro Lasham. All of them got stirred up, and all the dead animals fell into Bavel. So you're eating dirt. You're eating dirt that is made of animals. Amar of Yochanan, Lama Nikra Shema Mitzula. Why was Bavel referred to as the deep one? Shekol Meisei Mabul Nitztalalu Lasham. All of them Nitztalalu, Tzalalu, Ka'oferes, they drowned. So all of them, they drowned there. They drowned right there. V'yesh omrim ki'ilu ochel shkatzim u'ramasim. Some say it says if you're eating them. Either way. Says the Gemara, V'havadai ismechu ye ismechu. Come on. The water was very hot anyways, and the body parts have disintegrated 1,000 times over. Like, what is this, a forever din? Amre kevan de malke. Once we know that earth is not good to eat because it can sometimes make you sick, so then gazrube rabbanon, then the rabbanon use this as the packaging of that restriction to eat dirt, whether or not the animals are actually present. Who gavra, because there was this one person, the achal gargisha, he ate a clod of earth, the achal, and in it was tachle. There was this cress, the kadchula tachle, and it started to grow in his stomach, and it got to his heart, umis, and it killed him. Now, the rest of today, we're going to be learning drashas about Rus and about David and about some others, some Gemaras that were very, very well known about the tznius of Rus. So let's get started. We're a little bit more than a third, almost halfway down. V'rachasta v'sachta v'samta simlosecha. Amar Rabbi Lazar, elu begadim shel Shabbos. Elu begadim shel Shabbos. You should wash them. You should anoint them. You should put on your clothes. We should make sure that we dress up nicely for Shabbos. Tein lechacham v'yachkam. Give the wise person an opportunity, and they will make the jump. Od Amar Rebbe Lazar Zo Rus Hamoaviyah Ushmuel Haramati. These are these two chashuv people in our past who heard one piece of information, and they took on their own volition. They took it to the next level, to maybe a safer level in one case. Rus the ilunami ka'amra laverachatsta v'sachta v'samta simlosecha alecha v'yarata hagoren. The order was that she should wash and anoint and put on her clothes, and then she should go down to the Gora, and then she should go down to the place where they work on the grains. V'ilu b'dida, what did she do? Ksiv, first vatered hagoren. She went down to the Goren first. V'hadar vatas kechol asher tzivasa chamosa, like the mother-in-law told her to do, in order to keep her clothes a little bit more kosher, a little bit more clean. Shmuel, what's the story with Shmuel where it was v'tein lechacham v'yachkam? What was his tzustel that he did? Di'ilu Eli ka'amarle shecha v'haya im yikra elecha ve'amarta daber Hashem ki shomea avdecha. That if Hashem speaks to you when you're sleeping, you should say daber Hashem. Those words, daber Hashem, speak God, but saying Hashem's name mamish. Di'ilu b'didei ksi. But what did Shmuel actually do? What did it say? Vayavo Hashem vayisiatsev. He stood up. Vayikra kepam bepam Shmuel vayomer Shmuel daber. He left out the name of Hashem. Ki shomea avdecha v'lo amar dvar Hashem, because he was concerned that maybe if Taka wasn't an appropriate nevuah, that he would have said Hashem's name in vain. And we Ashkenazim, we paskin, that saying Hashem's name in vain, God forbid, is nisr derabanan. But according to some of the Sephardic Rishonim, that's the pasuk of Lo Sisa Hashem Hashem Elokecha Lashav. It's one of the 10 commandments to say Shahakol when you are just sitting on the couch doing nothing might be an Isser Doraisa of, that's a big problem. By Baalei Kriya, this happens all the time when people are laning. They say half a pasuk, they realize they made a mistake, and then they go back before the Shem Hashem, and they say Hashem's name again. That's not good. That's not good. You should at least finish the pasuk and then go back to the beginning of the pasuk. So this is not an uncommon thing, and Shmuel was very sensitive to it. So the Gemara gives him a compliment and says he's one of the people who fulfilled Teim Lechacham V'Yechkam. Next, halfway down, pasuk in the middle of the line, Batelech Batavova Telaket Basodeh, that Rus went to go collect in the field. Amar Rebbe Lazar, Shahalcha Uvas, Halcha Uvas, she went back multiple times. Ad Shematza Bnei Adam Amehu Ganim Leilech Imohem. She didn't want to go collecting stam. She wanted to go collecting with people who were good people, always making sure to surround herself with appropriate influences. Yomer Boaz Lena'aro Hanitzav Ala Kotzrim. Boaz said to the people working with him who were standing over the harvesters, Lemi Hana'aro Hazos. Who is this woman? Who is this woman? Asks the Gemara, V'chidarko shel Boaz lishal benara. Totally not his standard. Huge Talmud Chacham, a big posek. He's going to start asking about a woman in the field. What were his motivations? Amar Rebbe Lazar, Davar Chachma Rabba. No, this was a halachic thing. He saw something that she did that was really sharp. What did she do? Shnei shibolen leketa. When she saw two units on the floor, she picked them up. Shlosha shibolim eina leketa. But when it was three, she did not pick it up because Beis Hillel writes that this is not leket. It's not leket, or the volume is wrong. Is this leket we're talking about? Yeah, it's leketa. Yeah. So by leket, when two things fall, it's leket. But three is not leket. Three is not leket. So he saw that she chapped the din of Beis Hillel. So he said, "Who is that woman who saw three and walked right by them and only picks up two or one? Brilliant. She's on the nose." That was one option.
This was before Beis Hillel, though.
What?
This was before Beis Hillel was around.
Yes, but the Masorah is still the Masorah. It's not in the name of Beis Hillel. That's the din, of course,
Yeah.
right? It says the Gemara, B'masnisa Tana, there was another reason. In the Tanoim, there was a reason that was given as to why he asked the question that he asked when he said to the people who are Nitzavan ala Kotrim. So why was Boaz asking about Rus? Because Tznius Ra'aba, he saw a particular type of modesty. Omdos me'umad, if there were things that were standing that she was collecting, she stood. And Noflos miyushav, she wouldn't kneel down, she would sit down to make sure that her dress would cover her legs entirely so that nothing was revealed. Now, the other people might have let their legs get a little bit uncovered, but that was not her speed. Just this touches on an idea about women covering their legs and whether that's Ladina or not. Certainly what Rus did was a very high level of tznius. Of course, we learned about this already, Shok B'isha Erva, that a woman's thigh, do we include the knee in the thigh, not knee in the thigh, cover the knee, not all the shilas that exist. Obviously, it's ideal for one to cover their knee standing and sitting, that's for sure true. So that is a little bit of that conversation here, and the only minhag discussion to add is covering one's legs with tights. So that's a minhag makom question. If you live in a city where all of the poskim of the city are on the same page that one should cover their legs, and that's appropriate for a woman then to cover her legs. But if you live in a city where that's not the standard, of course, a woman still has to cover her knees, even if the city doesn't have a standard of covering their knees. A woman should still wear a skirt that's long enough. We don't change halacha because of location, but minhagim we do change based on location, based on mishnayos and psachim that we'll get to see hopefully in however many months it will take for us to get there. Let's continue. So he said he's going to be davuk, and the Gemara here, based on the Rishonim, it's like a language that's almost a little pressed. It's a language of being very close to women, almost intimate in its nature. But that's what he was saying. Amar Rebbe Lazar, no. That when he saw that Rus was very, very close to his mother-in-law, so then he learned that she was now single. Amar Shari le'id vukeba. Now I understand that she's available, and maybe she's a potential person that he could marry. Yomer la Boaz la'es ha'ochel geshi halom. He said to her when they were eating geshi halom, come over here. Amar Rebbe Lazar remez ramaz la. He was saying something to her, and if she was a prophetess, she would have read it. What did it mean? Asida malchus beis David latzeis mimech. From the word halom, that he said to her, maybe she would be able to glean that Beis David would come from her house. So, because the pasuk says, "Dechsiv Beis Halom." Sorry, I lost my spot here. Amar Rebbe Lazar, Remez Ramaz La, Sida Malchus Beis David Latzeis Mimech Dechsiv Beis Halom. Shneimar Vayavo Hamelach David Vayeshev Lifnei Hashem Vayomer Mi Anochi Adonai Hashem Umi Beisi Ki Avisani Ad Halom. So therefore, the remez to her was that there will be a David about whom we're going to say the word halom. Next drasha, you should dip your bread into vinegar. So says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Eliezer Mikan she'achometz yafel l'shrat. When the weather is boiling hot, so then it's reasonable to eat vinegar. Maybe it maintains, I don't know if medically this is true, it maintains a degree of hydration, don't know. Reb Shmuel bar Nachmani Amar Remez Ramaz La. Now this was actually a little bit deeper, that there was a remez here. Asid bain latseis mimech shemaisav kashin kechometz. That you will also have a descendant, not Gishmak like David and like Rabbi Huda Hanasi, but rather Nebuch, someone who does quite bad stuff. Umanu, who is that? Menashe. Terrible king, Ayin Shmuel Beis, there for all the awful things that he did. It's in, I think, Parakaf Aleph, somewhere around there, where you can see all the terrible things that Menashe did, a descendant of Rus. Ateshev Mitzad HaKotrim, so they sat in separate sides. Amar Belazar Mitzad HaKotrim V'lo Besoch HaKotrim, he didn't sit among them. Remez Ramaz La, She'asida Malchus Beis David She'tischalek, that when Rechavam took over after Shlomo HaMelech, then the Malchus split to Yehuda and Yisrael. She was given roasted grains, and she ate it. Amar Rebbe Lazar, b'mei David. This is a triple drasha. Vatochal, she will eat, b'mei David. Vatispa, she will be satiated in the days of Shlomo. Vatosar, b'mei Chizkiah, even more in the days of Chizkiah. B'kedamre, some break this up differently. This drasha, vatochal b'mei David, u'b'mei Shlomo, putting the two of them together. Vatispa b'mei Chizkiah, vatosar b'mei Rebbe, moving all the way into the times of the Amorim, because Rabbi Danasi was a descendant of Rus, of David HaMelech. The Amar Mar, Aharure, the Rebbe, have a Asir Mishuvor Malka. This remarkable person, a statesman like Rebbe, he was even more wealthy than Shavur Malka. B'masnisa Tana, we learned in the Tanaim, Vatochal, another drasha for these three words, Vatochal ba'olam hazeh, we should eat in this world. Vatisba, we should be satiated limosa Mashiach when Mashiach comes, still here in this world. Vatosar, and the last level that this pasuk would hint to, again, this one's not related to Rus, just related in general, is la'asid lavo. These are just like stages, kind of to always remind us and to keep us aware that this world is the lowest of those levels. All of this world is only just a gateway to lead us to that greater place, Emir Hashem B'Karov, to Mashiach, and then after 120 years to a place where we could benefit tremendously. Asid lavo b'olam haba. We'll stop here, wishing you all a beautiful week, and we'll pick up tomorrow night with Daf Kuf Yud Dalet. Have a great night.